Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Gyle here, and welcome back to the Forged Alliance Forever promotional series. No news, no updates, no annoying pieces of information to roll out at the start of this one, guys. Just good old-fashioned ladder match action right from the outset. I think I can hear a smattering of applause and cheers from the back of the room there, guys. And how nice it is that that should coincide with the arrival of our players planet side. Let's head on over to Open Palms and see how they're going to get on. So, of course, Open Palms needing no introduction, but our players have egos, so let's stroke it for them. The egos, that is. Plutonically, of course, moving on. Up here at the top left, in the blue corner, I really should start this cast again, but I'm not going to, so deal with it. It's Voodoo, the one and only, my good friend, and very irregularly, of course, playing UEF. We hardly ever see that joke, of course, that is his race of choice, and how lucky we are to have him on board for Galactic War. And hopefully Blackheart will be joining us for that as well, making UEF unstoppable. But anyway, he's opening first land, second air. And so the thing about Voodoo as well, he does tend to prefer the expansionist style. You can see 3 engineers straight off the bat there, no lab play, no early intel or anything. Conversely, his opponent, first thing off the conveyor belt there, is a Spirit, and he's down here in the red corner. It's Thaam going Aeon, opening first land, second air as well, throwing that down next to the Hydro, and then it's the old click and drag routine going out to the left there. And hopefully for him, if any action does come his way early in the game, it's going to come down this side, otherwise he won't see it. But he's facing Voodoo, so it's very unlikely. Voodoo much prefers the defensive early game posture, as you can see by the striker and the snoop, and I would bet my granny that that is running cover for this engineer. You can see immediately putting some build orders down there for those mexes out there, and it's so important. If you can keep that engineer alive, it will help you tenfold. That's the sort of engineer that if you lose, it's going to be several minutes before you get another one into position, and then that's to 8 mass points that you're losing out on. So absolutely critical to keep those alive. Anyway, bombers straight off the conveyor belt, off that air factory. First of all, for Voodoo, how does that match up? He's way ahead on Thaam, who only just finishes the construction there of that air factory, and it's going to be a scout plane coming out for him first of all. A little bit of a circle around as that bomber comes in. Will he notice it on the way out? There are a couple of engineers very clumped here, and looks like he's going for a split, so he might have seen that coming in. It's very coincidental timing if not, but the bomb's away. First blood to Voodoo. Very nice indeed. Another bomber on the left-hand side, and another bomb coming down here. He clips that engineer, but it survives on just 8 hit points. And now I think it's going to be this bomber out to the west. Its turn. Bombs away. Beautiful bit of micro there from Thaam. Keeps that one alive. But another engineer down. Finally, that first bomber gets taken out with the first defending interceptor rolling out there from Thaam. Oh, lovely double engineer grab, though, from Voodoo. He's really putting the pressure on at minute 4 here. Very painful indeed. So at the moment, though, of course, they're all core engineers. It's all mostly in this area. I suppose he did grab the one out here. That has cancelled the ones down here, actually, so that is a pretty painful snag. Finally, that second bomber taken care of by those defending interceptors. Interceptor coming down there from Voodoo, and now we've also got an engineer drop grabbing the plateaus. Voodoo, I'm betting he's going to go for both of them. There are 2 engineers on board there. Yes, he does. Very typical of his playstyle, dropping one off there, and the other one's going to cross the map. There we go, up to the other plateau, and go and grab that. Needs to be careful, though. We have got bombers out for Thaam, and the first one's incoming. This could be payback, and it could be a couple of engineers about to clump around these land factories. Bombs away. Oh, lovely bomb there, taking out 2 engineers from Thaam. He's got to feel good about that. But this bomber that's coming in now will just have noticed that transport. The question is, those interceptors going to do anything about it? They seem to be heading that way. But unfortunately, new interceptors rolling off the pad there from Voodoo will knock those out of commission. So that engineer is going to make it there safe and sound. And this is an interesting choice, actually, for Voodoo, going straight for the mexes up here rather than plonking down a land factory. Of course, if you do that, you're incredibly vulnerable. One bomb in the right place, you lose that engineer, and that's the end of your control up there. But if you go for a land factory, first of all, you can immediately start work on more engineers. You can build archers in the case of Voodoo, of course, going UEF and help protect against air attacks. But who am I to argue with the great Voodoo, 2091 in ranking to my 1000, and that's not deserved either. He knows what he's doing, and it's working for him so far. But a lot of T1 pushing out to the west of this map now. Voodoo's got his ACU moving over to this side of things, and that looks like a UEF PD. Yes, it is. That is queued up there. Voodoo's on his way over to get the mexes in place and construct that, but he's going to have to cancel that and deal with all of these Auroras first of all. And Thaam looking very aggressive with his ACU, getting it up here to the top of the map, snagging all 4 of those mass points and putting these 2 in jeopardy as well. But still 45 mass to 28 there in favor of Voodoo. These side ridges going to help a lot. But these units over here not going to stick around next to the ACU. Wise maneuver. Instead going to carry on around to the back. There's this one vulnerable mass point here, and of course these internally vulnerable 3 at the back here, which are always so hard to hold your control over. And on Thaam goes, continuing to knock out mass points while the ACU still has the relative game power to do so. As the game moves on, of course, it becomes more and more dangerous to have that ACU exposed. But now Striker's moving forward from Voodoo, looking to snag a couple of mexes. Does grab 2 of them. There's a bunch of Auroras here that won't let them get any further, that's for certain, but it's enough of a cost-effective attack, that's for certain. 46 mass plays, 39. Voodoo still ahead and going well, and has made the transition to T2. We've got Mongoose now on the field as well. That'll afford him some decent range. Transport's wandering around the map too for Voodoo as well. Not sure what the plan is there, where he's going, but that's a nasty looking group of T1 that's building in the middle there for Thaam, knocking out another couple of mass points. I think he could actually potentially put some pressure on here, although a couple of Mongoose moving in, and that will probably dissuade him from pushing any further. Rocket volley away first. See the respect that those Auroras are giving to those Mongoose, not wanting to get involved. Wise decision, my friend. If I were Voodoo, I would be pumping out the pillars now, but he knows what he's doing. Who am I to give advice? But in terms of actual unit numbers on the field, I'd say Thaam looks a little bit better, and actually he's not far behind at all in the old mass game here. Take a look at what we're actually looking at. Thaam is jumping backwards and forwards to just ahead or just behind, so he's doing okay. His main issue at the moment is power. He needs to get more T1 power plants up and running. Obviously, when he lost those engineers down there, it cancelled a whole lot of them, so I don't know if that's interrupted his build order at all. But certainly you can see he's right on the breadline, and now he's bottlenecking power, minus 300 net, and fluctuating. Voodoo coming in over the top with a bunch of his inties for a little bit of a scouting run. Absolutely no land-to-air issues there for him. And T2 on the field now for Thaam as well, starting with engineers to begin with. But this, of course, is a ladder match. It's not balance testing or anything like that, so we haven't got the outrageous new Obsidian tanks that we've seen lately in balance patch. That AoE, lots of people have been complaining about. Hopefully we'll have more to come on that soon. I did actually mention the prospect in the tournament section of having a balanced testing tournament. Voodoo himself actually said he was potentially interested in hosting that. If you are interested in that, guys, why not have a couple of comments in that thread, see if people can start working out some times for that. But now units pushing in on all sides for Voodoo. It's not looking great for Thaam at all, and somehow Voodoo's managed to hold on to those rear mass points. I didn't see, they must have pulled back out those units. Personally, I feel that's a little bit of a mistake. Voodoo being quite aggressive here at minute 11. Thaam got his ACU over here. We've got Eruptors being spammed up nice and quickly to help defend this extra factory over here on the right hand side. I think he's potentially going to lose all 4 of these mass points though. But look at this. Blazes on the move, coupled with the Auroras. Last unit there, that Mongoose. Down he goes. So that is the central plateau freed up a little bit. And I think it's fair to say Thaam has probably got this side more or less locked down. These units are going to have to force a run by if they want to get anything else done, to be able to knock out those 4 mass points. But now Voodoo needs to be careful. Doesn't want to get sandwiched between 2 bodies of units here, especially not when there are this many on the field. That is a ton of Auroras. The Blaze is mixed in as well. .64 mass to 47. Voodoo still ahead. But this is going to be quite a crucial battle, and it looks to me on the face of it that Thaam's got the better of that over in the west here. Nothing really except the mongoose left from that original body of troops. There are some more strikers kind of forming up behind these factories, but he's definitely going to lose these mexes. He's probably going to lose these factories. He's lucky there's no fervors in the mix that I can see that's going to help take down these structures any quicker than he would normally. But he's managing to draw all of the reinforcements in the map from Voodoo over to engage these units, and that does potentially leave a vacuum over on this side, which is already looking a little bit tricky. You can see the maneuver Thaam's made up here. He's wiped out these mass points. There is one engineer here that could be very lucky or unlucky. There he goes, getting popped. So that would have been a useful replenishment unit now that these Auroras are moving off these mexes. He could have gone in there and started to rebuild, but that's not going to happen. And Voodoo being forced right back onto his own doorstep. We've got asylums in the mix as well as parashields now. So mobile shield gens for both players, and yet more units coming in from all sides. This turnaround is pretty unbelievable, actually, especially when you think that Thaam's been on the back foot on eco terms this whole time. I'm not sure how this has actually happened. It just doesn't seem to have had enough units, and now they're wandering straight on into dangerous territory as Voodoo spamming up plasma cannons left, right and center. If they could cancel this T2P gen, that would be a considerable help, although Voodoo not currently bottlenecking power, so it's not an emergency. It's going to kill off that T2 engineer at least. And now they're targeting the T2 factory, which is currently upgrading to T3. That's going to be really painful, and that's where all of the mass and energy has been going for Voodoo. He's been trying to sneak in an upgrade to T3 ASAP, and that's why he's had fewer units on the field, and that's what's allowed Thaam to push. And that's a horrible loss there for Voodoo. That's really going to hurt him. And you can see Thaam sitting 59 mass, Voodoo sitting 57 and floating a huge amount of mass, not even making use of the mass he's got. And he's gone from sitting in a pretty good position about 3 or 4 minutes ago to now holding on to little more than 25% of the map control. I guess he's still got the plateaus up here, and Thaam could do a lot worse than to get a transport together, drop some units to take those, because that would really put Voodoo in a spot of proverbial bother. Sitting up front with the ACU, and he's on an upgrade there with the ACU. Look at the amount of mass though here that's available for recycling. Of course, at the moment, mass not really his problem. He's floating a ton of it. At the moment, it's build capacity and production capacity. He doesn't have the facilities available to him to spend that mass to get the units together to counter the spam that's coming at him at the moment from Thaam. 4 mass points down again over here in the west for Voodoo. Gets another group of units together to try and fend off this little attack. It's not a massive commitment there from Thaam. Thaam's mostly pushing up here in the east around the back of the map. Finally, these 3 mass points look like they might be in trouble. I'd like to see some more fervors in the mix, actually, from Thaam. Would help him deal with these small pockets of PD that have been dotted around the map. But not only that, help him take down these structures a little bit quicker. And you see that single plasma cannon's actually potentially going to hold off this spam from grabbing these mexes. Might possibly take out 1 or 2. But that can be replenished by that engineer that's sitting there on reclaim duty. We have got blazes coming in here as well, just south of that rear guard position. Thaam stacking up over on the right hand side. Not really sure why he isn't engaging. There is a huge open door here into Voodoo's base. If he attacked, it could cause huge amounts of problems. I mean, I know Voodoo would shuffle all of this left, but then that would open another avenue of attack. He needs to lock Voodoo down. You don't often get the chance to do that against Voodoo, and Thaam has made the transition to T3, so there are harbingers in the field. The question is, are there any T2 factories on the way for Voodoo? Such a painful loss losing that factory. Yeah, we've got T2 now in place in a much safer position in the core set of buildings there, the core base for Voodoo. And finally a couple of fervors turn up, and that will allow Thaam to knock out that rear guard position. And you can see Voodoo down to 39 mass, Thaam on 85. Things not looking good for our friend in blue. Thaam playing very confidently, very nicely. And these harbs rolling off the conveyor belt here. I'd say things really aren't looking good, but this is going to be a nice bomb straight on top of all of that build capacity. That looked like 5 engineers going down there to that one bomber. Beautiful to see, and actually a stacking of bombers over here, and they've been discovered by a couple of interceptors flying over from Thaam, but he's too busy focusing on this attack. Those bombers are being recalled by Voodoo to assist, but actually there's not a great deal of potency in this body of troops here from Thaam. It's all Auroras, it's all T1. There are some Harbingers back here, but Voodoo's going to get involved with his ACU. He's got those power shields to protect him, and a couple of well-timed overcharges here and there, and he should be able to stem the tide. Thaam does not have overwhelming forces by any way, shape or form. Those Harbingers are going to wheel left and take out these mass points over here. But I think for the best part, this base is looking in pretty good shape. Voodoo can now afford to bring his comm out. He's got some good intel of the surrounding area from all of these air units. He's got a lot of bombers as well, so he's really utilizing the air tech on this side of things. Thaam needs to put a little bit of extra build capacity on his air factory and shut down this bomber spam, because it really is hurting Thaam at the moment. Livian turrets on the ridge there, getting bombed to High Hrothgar. Harbinger's trying to force an entry back here over on the left, knocking out one of the mexes and just probing and picking with his attacks. Voodoo hanging on for everything he's got. And Thaam has managed to snag kills. He hasn't got any build capacity up there to claim those mexes, but he's at least knocked those out. He could do with grabbing these 3 as well. But Thaam taking a lot of losses unit-wise on this one. Voodoo's been very economical with his play. This is nice, dragging these units out of range from the commander so these Harbingers can get to work. Keep it away from that commander so he can't overcharge him. How far are we away from T3? That's the question. The problem is, can he relent? Yes, he can. He doesn't need to, in fact. I was going to say, can he relent on the production for T2 to get the upgrade, but he hasn't needed to. He's gone straight for T3 on this one, and now he's producing Percivals. He's doing all of this at basically what looks to be a deficit of around 40-50% on his opponent in terms of mass. You can see first Percivals in the mix already, working on those Harbingers. It's the only thing he's got, or he could get, to deal with those right now, being as they're trying to avoid the commander as best they can. And now a body of troops cleared up again. So Voodoo looking like a really tough nut to crack in this one. Thaam sitting on 103 mass, fluctuating down to 99, but he's still ahead of Voodoo. But Voodoo, when you think about what he's got here, he's got this ridge, and then he's got about less than 25% of the map here, and a lot of these mexes aren't even taken. He's keeping up very well indeed. He's ecoing hard. You've got T3 mexes in the base, 2 T3 there, 2 T2s, another T3 is on the way. Compare that to what's going on down here. These are just T2 in the core for Thaam. And I'm astonished about how well Voodoo has managed to stay in this. Absolutely astonished. Obviously there is a difference of a couple of hundred or so, nearly 300 points in the ranking between these guys, the ladder ranking. Hero Percival, do your stuff. Of course, Percival's not great against hordes of T1 because of the overkill that they provide. Slow rate of fire, high alpha strikes, much better obviously for high HP units. And it looks like Thaam's going to get a bit of a point defense creep on now. Wants to try and corner Voodoo even more. He must be thinking, why aren't you breaking? What the hell is going on here? But it's looking tougher by the minute. We've got a ton of triads here. Voodoo on another upgrade on his commander. We'll take a look at what he's running on that when that finishes. But could this be the end? Units running low. The trouble is he cannot get close because of all these triads. Voodoo's upgrades finished there. Let's take a look at what he's running on that commander. He's running T2 engineering suite and gun upgrade. Parashields in the area as well. That is a brutal commander. Nice T2 factory there in place for Thaam, producing lots of T2 engineers. Could probably do with producing more units though. Trying to get build capacity together to deal with this. Shut up a base of his own on this side, completely seal off this area of the map. But look at this, Thaam on 85 mass now and Voodoo on 106. He's overtaken Thaam. He's had a bit of a successful push down here on the left hand side. I do apologize that I've missed that. There's been so much action right here on the doorstep. It's been hard to follow everything. So a nice breakout maneuver there. However, there are 3 harbingers moving back up on the west side there. West side. Percival's running very low on HP. Those 3 Oblivion turrets are going to be a lot of help, but Voodoo wants to knock this base out of commission here and now. Don't blame him, overcharging the PD there. Boom, down goes one, down goes another. So just 1 Oblivion turret left and a handful of Percivals as well. More Oblivion turrets being spammed up back here. He needs to get in here and overcharge this build capacity. 1 in the mix down here, and that'll slow up production for certain. Oh, very nice indeed. Thaam is getting brutalized here. Minute 26. Although more units coming in now. Those 3 harbingers we mentioned earlier. And there's not a lot over here. Of course, he's got a lot of triads in the mix, which will afford him some great protection. Actually, can't believe what I'm seeing here. Really thought Thaam had Voodoo by the balls in this one. It's a lot of air units as well. What are we seeing on air down here? Still T1, still no build capacity, so no commitment in the air there from Thaam. There's no special change up in strategy coming that's going to alter his fortunes in this game. Not one that I can see anyway, but 3 harbingers getting in amongst the pigeons here at the back, knocking out build capacity, primarying that T2 power generator. That's bottlenecked Voodoo on power, at least for now. Voodoo's coming in with his ACU. He's going to be able to finish off those harbs. It's caused a little bit of damage. A couple of P-gens down there. Fatboy under construction, but look at the bottleneck on power. Nice work from Thaam, but he's just got nothing. What's happened to his army? It's been brutalized. He's lost this base up here. That's where the majority of his units were. And even with all that build capacity up there, he still didn't manage to get enough Oblivion turrets together to seal off that area. Very, very impressive work from Voodoo indeed. Fatboy, 2,600 hit points done of 12,500. So a ways to go, but Voodoo's power problems are going to be sorted very soon indeed. In fact, they're more or less back on track now, and he's still ahead en masse against Thaam. Actually very impressed. Now all of these bombers that he's stockpiled over the course of this game just wailing away on these mexes that have dotted around the map. What, if anything, are we going to see coming out of this side of the map? Lots of engineers on that T3 factory, as you would expect, trying to get as many Harbingers together as they can, but of course Harbingers pound for pound up against the Percys, not brilliant. Would have loved to have seen a commitment to the air game from Thaam in this. Right switch at the right time to come in here and cause some real damage. There's very little anti-air. We've got 3 T1 anti-airs, 3 tracers there in the core. Yes, there's a lot of interceptors in play, but of course there wouldn't be if he'd have committed to the air game earlier, I think. He's floating a chunk of mass as well, so he's not using all of it. Voodoo bottlenecking on power again. One hero Harbinger dodging left and right, trying to evade these T1 bombers as best he can. Scorchers coming in all over from all angles. Very nice little dukes left and right. Shield is finally down. Those interceptors that he's got coming in to assist, but this time another attack from the west from Thaam. Lots of Harbs, one getting caught up there on the hillside, but this is going to have a lot less success than the last one. Voodoo's tightened up his base security. All of the forces that knocked this area out are now back at base. All those Percivals really seeing the difference there in firepower. Thaam does manage to snag those 3 rear mass points in the meantime though, and grabs all of those T1 bombers that have been making his life so very, very difficult for the last, well, I'd say most of the game, to be honest. But that Fatboy is now online, and that represents major difficulties for Thaam. He's got nothing really to take that out with, but he has made the transition to T2, and he's building T2 transports. Interesting. He's up to, got a GC under construction, but no commitment to getting that done anytime soon. If I was him, I would be building Mercies and preparing them to strike that fatty. Question is, has he noticed? You see what it looks like from his point of view. You can't really miss that. There goes his very central T2 radar. He's got a couple more though. He's got T1 radar down here and 1 T1 up here as well, so he's not completely devoid of intel. Bad place to land your planes, Voodoo. It's the mother of all parking charges, as that Harb just walked past, blapping your air power like it's cool. Should have just kept it in that area, seen how long he could have snagged those, but he wants to cut down the mass, and I understand that. He's at a massive deficit. 133 plays 87. Incredible eco play from Voodoo, and I think that's when you really see the difference between the high level players and the top level players, is that eco management is just flawless. Watch Luzon or Blackheart play, it's like watching machines. But this is going to be a really tough ask now for Thaam. I just don't see any way back for him. Those engineers are on the move, and I wonder if they're committing to Looks like they're building Spectres, so trying to get some T2 gunship power to get... No, sorry, they're not at all. Swiftwind, so he wants to combat the air power of Voodoo first, I think. He's got to have something, some plan to deal with that Fatboy. He's rolling out with a decent number of Harbingers, and yes, he's got a lot of Asylums, or however, a lot of them have pretty low HP left on their actual shields. Getting close to the Fatboy is the tricky part, though, and as those shields collapse, Harbingers start taking fire. Got a miasma going down. Thaam trying to counter with static T2 artillery. Really don't like that play. I don't think that's going to work for him. As those units just stroll around in the firing arc of that Fatboy as it rains bloody hell down upon them. He's got a decent amount of air power. If he switched to gunships now, he could be able to do something about this Fatboy, but Voodoo has responded in kind. We've got T3 Air Factory in place, spamming out ASFs. So he's getting ready for potentially a gunship strike. He is now building Mercies to try and deal with it. He's also trying to get a shield gen together, but he's calling the GG now. He knows there's no way back, not realistically. Yeah, I don't think that was luck, buddy. He definitely didn't press, but I don't know. Voodoo played an absolute blinder in this game. I don't see that Thaam did a great deal wrong. He thought he had Voodoo in a tighter spot than he actually had, and there goes all the rest of those harbs, and it is now open season on Thaam's base. Those units come pouring in, and Thaam surrenders just as that horde of UEF power comes steaming into Aeon territory. Very nice game indeed. Voodoo showing once again why he is the player that he is, and to be feared, to be sure. Hope you enjoyed that, guys. As always, more to come from me in the future. In the meanwhile, stay well and stay safe. This is Gyle, signing out.